Hey y'all, welcome back to another review with me. I am your host Maxine and we are reviewing Married at First Sight, season 20, episodes 13 through 15. Buckle up. Buckle up. Now, I had to go through hell and high water, various methods, alternative methods to get 3 photos from these episodes. Okay? I gotta figure out a workaround for this digital rights management shit. Damn, I feel like if I am a subscriber to a streaming platform, I should have every right to screen record or screenshot that video, that clip, that episode as I please. I'm sick of this. Like, what is this whole DRM crap? Anyway, rant over. Y'all, so yes, these photos are not my direct photos. So that's why, I feel like my direct photos wouldn't look any better. But nonetheless, this is what we have. Let's get into it, y'all. A lot went down. I'm gonna do my best to be chronological, and let's just jump right into it. Episode 13 is titled The Breaking Point. The Breaking Point. So, Marissa is meeting with her friends. They come over to the apartment. Adam actually comes and joins them in a little bit. But before they do, Marissa is letting them know about their quote-unquote bad moment because she's realizing that it's all about Adam and his hobbies and what he wants to do for 6 hours straight. I'm kind of tired of this whole pickleball argument or discussion just because it's just so silly to me. It's so silly that a man, anyone, wants to have a game of pickleball for 6 hours straight every day. Now, look, I understand being hyper focused on whatever it is because your dopamine is addicted to that and it brings you joy. Like, currently my hyper focus is playing the game Ruma Cube and I love it, right? But I'm also aware of how, like, okay, I can't let this consume my day. And I feel like with Adam, he lacks any self-awareness, especially being pickleball is like, you have to be athletic, right? It's not like a game of Ruma Cube where you're just playing on a tabletop. You have to be athletic. You have to be outdoors, or if it's inside. But nonetheless, you have to move around a lot, and it's a lot on your body, okay? And I feel like to expect your wife to be on board with your hobby and that be the deal breaker or the breaking point, we really don't have any foundation. We really don't have any substance. Anyway, her friends, they're all married and they do find this to be troublesome. Like, why does he not realize that playing pickleball for 6 hours straight every day is unreasonable? We get to Court and Nick, and Court, look, this picture that I have of Courtney is perfect. Why? She is next to piles of trash. That she is. She's in her home. She's in her element. And I'm going to be harsh on her because she is harsh. She is harsh. She is insufferable. Now, I'm not much of a Nick fan either, but I think she's worse. Anyway, spoiler alert, her and Nick actually end their marriage early. Good riddance, goodbye. They should have ended it episode 3. But before they do, Courtney tells him that she feels like he's not being his real self. She keeps saying that and using that against him. And it's like, you don't even know him to know if he's being real or not. Now, granted, I don't think he's real either. I think he lacks depth. I really do. But still, how about you create a space for him to be more real and vulnerable with you? Because every time he shares a little bit about himself, and this is what he says too, every time he shares a little about himself, she invalidates him. She makes fun of him. She dismisses him. She's not soft. She's not. And at this point, she might like women. Her and Caitlyn, they might as well get together. Okay? You have Courtney, who is a professional bodybuilder. She probably takes roids. And I'm being for real here. She probably does. It's in that culture. So that's blocking any estrogen that could have been within her body. She's moving around like she's a man. And then, have y'all noticed that she is so into other men in this cast than she is than she is Nick? She always compliments Adam. She complimented Felipe. She looks at them with these endearing eyes. Now, I don't think necessarily she's into men. I really don't. At this point, I don't. But I think she likes to belittle Nick so much so that any man who she even finds slightly more attractive, she's going to exacerbate it and make Nick feel less than. She's a bitch, period. We don't have to get into this scene too much because I said all I need to say about her. We move on to Michelle and Cam, and they're actually doing really well. They've been doing well anyway. Cam said that he lost his temper on his students. Remember, he is a basketball coach. And Michelle is such a positive and optimistic person that she helps lift him up out of this negative headspace, which I really find to be, and later on we see him, I'm gonna jump around because it's relevant anyway. But later on in, I think it was episode 15, we see Cam, I think he has depression, or he has depressive moments at least. But he says how he felt insecure for being sad. And I can't remember exactly what his sadness was from or what triggered it. But that's the thing with depression. It's not necessarily something that triggers it. Or what are you doing? You know, people are like, what are you depressed about? It's like, that's not even the question you ask. Maybe just ask what's going on, right? Or what are you thinking about? Because everything is depressing. When you have depression, like clinical depression, everything is depressive. So it's like you asking me, what am I depressed about? Life itself, these bills, life, you know, and it could be things that you might find understandable and things that you might feel like, okay, girl, you're just overreacting, right? But that's the way that chemical imbalance works. Nonetheless, Michelle, she is such a support system for him, but it comes off very natural. And I'm saying but because sometimes when people are so positive and optimistic, it comes off performative and just straight up fake. But I don't feel like that's how Michelle is. Cam says how he worries that their relationship may lose passion. A little bit of that same rhetoric that Felipe has said, but not to that extreme. Remember how Felipe is talking about, I'm gonna miss single life so much. I'm gonna miss fucking around so many bitches. He's not saying that. Caitlyn and Devin, they are kind of at a standstill. Caitlyn's feeling shock about what he said at the last group dinner. Devin's trying to tell her, like, he hasn't lost faith in them, but this is something that they need to work on. You know, Caitlyn thinks that he thrives on arguments and that he like finds some pleasure in it, which maybe she's seeing something that I'm not seeing, but I don't feel like that is Devin's intention. They talk about cuddling positions, and it just feels so mechanical. Like, naturally, just put your leg on me, right? Naturally, just like hold on me, right? Hold my waist. And I think because Caitlyn has been damaged by past relationships, she is taking that with her and is preventing her from being soft and feminine. We get to Bella Mecca. Mecca says that he won't be incorporating Milk and Snow into my family. And I decided to write that down because he said my family. Huh? We're married, right? Isn't this our family? It just gave me the impression that, okay, he's not looking into a future with her. Now, granted, they have cool conversations and they're enjoying each other's company. And Mecca would, which I feel like he's performative, but he will come across like, or he said, oh, she's a female version of me. She's my best friend. I'm so open and honest with her. I feel so comfortable with her. Okay, yeah, but do you really? Like, you just doing this to like put on a show. They have a moment outside. They're talking and getting to know each other. Mecca said how he peed in the bed until he was 13 and how he felt jealous of his stepmother who would be a present parent for his siblings, but not for him, because he was under the custody of his father, and his father and his stepmother are no longer together. And so he experienced some jealousy, very extreme jealousy, like he said, which is understandable. And he mentioned peeing in the bed until 13. I just read this post on Reddit saying that if you've peed in the bed until around that age, it's a response to abuse. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Maybe I'll bring this up to my therapist at some point. But I peed in the bed until 10 or 11. And I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I'm like, ooh, there's something there. Nonetheless, that is sad. That is sad. I don't know if I peed in bed until 13, but I think I was, I don't know, 9, 10. I gotta ask my mom. Nonetheless, Belle talked about her childhood, and we finally get to learn more about her childhood. I mean, we've learned about her childhood anyway, about her dad not being present, but we learned more about her upbringing. And she said her and her mom and her siblings, they were beyond poor. Mecca stuck with that word, stuck with that description. Beyond poor, man, you were beyond poor. And it's like, damn. He has no sensitivity around her. He has no softness and reassurance. Like, he's not a man. Can we just stop there? He's not a man. Like, he's not just listening and comforting her with this sensitive information, you know. And I think because Belle, the way that she communicates, she is pretty mature and straightforward, that she lacks showing any hurt or sad emotion. Now, maybe she's over it, but I don't feel like that has to always mean that, right? I think sometimes people are like, oh, if you're still sad about, or if you still show sadness or any type of emotion about a traumatic thing or upbringing or whatever, that means you're not over it. No, it just means that I remember that emotion and I'm recalling that emotion. I feel that's what I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think every time you cry about something that happened in your past that was traumatic, I don't think that means that you're not over it. Like, what does that even mean? Like, come on, talk about over it. No, I'm recalling an emotion. Nonetheless, Belle doesn't really, I don't think I've seen her cry about her past or talking about it. She just talks about it matter-of-factly. That's what I want to say. She talks about it matter-of-factly, and I wonder if she were more emotional, would Mecca take this moment seriously? Would he actually be like, man, I'm sorry you went through that? Or would he hold her closely? I don't know. I think either way, he just lacks being a fucking man. I hated that he stuck on, you were beyond poor? You were beyond? Yes. So she went into detail talking about she had to eat toothpaste at some point. Huh? First of all, okay. obviously her mother was a single mother. She talked about that, right? And her mother had her and her siblings. I don't know exactly how many, but it was multiple kids in the house. Look, I don't want to judge. But I just want to understand how. How. I get it. Single parenthood is a lot, right? From what I've heard, from what I've seen, sure. But how did you set up your life that you turned out beyond? Is there some self-responsibility here that could have been taken? I don't know. Is it just me? Am I looking at it densely? I just feel like, dang, your mom didn't save any money? Did she not have a job at all? Like, what do you mean y'all barely ate? You didn't eat at all when you was a kid? What is beyond? That's what I'm just trying. I don't get it. Because did your mom not have any familial support? Was there not any organization around, like a church or a woman's shelter, anything that could be of assistance? Like, what? And then she's talking about birthdays meant so much growing up, and regardless of us not having money, we still celebrate birthdays. Huh? How did you have time to celebrate? I get it. I'm not saying poor people shouldn't celebrate, but I just feel like we sometimes prioritize things more than we should. I'm not a big birthday person. I'm not. I feel actually weird about birthdays, or mine in particular. I'm not big. I don't know. I maybe it's my depression, but I get morbid about it. I think about, like, dang, this is another year. I don't know, but that's just me. I'm not really big on it. I literally have to force myself to acknowledge my birthday in a way of being celebratory. Nonetheless, I just feel like if you grew up beyond poor, there ain't no time celebrating, but just say happy birthday and move on. Maybe buy a card. Even that. Do you want to buy a card? Do you want to eat dinner? I don't know. Let's move on. I feel like I'm coming across insensitive, but I just honestly feel like, how did you grow up beyond poor? What did your mom do for a living? Did she not have Tori FaceTimes her sister, and she's telling her how Felipe has switched up. He wants to be single, and he wants bad bitches. That's his fucking problem. That's what he wants. She actually says more about Felipe's lack of adulting, I would say. She says how the only reason why Felipe has his job is because this job is a family-run business. His restaurant that he owns, it is a family-run business. It is a family-owned business. So it's not like he did it on his own. He did it with his family, and he wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for his family. And his mom always looks out for him. Yada, yada, yada. Look, I get the pride that people have when it comes to being independent, and I did this by myself. I didn't need any help. I didn't need any support. But can we also congratulate nepotism? I think it's great to have family who have set up a foundation in which once you get to adult age, you could benefit from said foundation. That's pretty dope. I don't think he needs to be shamed for it. Now, granted, he's not as mature or reliable as Tori would want. I think that's something that he has to actively learn, and it has to be learned as he is experiencing pressure for that. I think it could be done. I really do. But I don't like this whole, well, he's not independent. He didn't get it on his own. He didn't get out the mud. So you're just jealous. You didn't have an upbringing like him that allowed him to be able to sustain his life because of this family business. That's fucking dope. I think that should be a goal for every family. Wow, I created a business, or wow, I'm in an industry that allows for me to bring my children into it if they please. Now, granted, Felipe could go into a whole different field if he wanted to. He would just have to figure that out. But if I have something that's already set in stone for me to build from, hell yeah, I'm going to take that. I don't see a problem with that. We get to Belle. Belle's birthday takes place, and Mecca celebrates her. And it's a cute setup. I'm not gonna not give him credit for that, right? I think that's dope that he celebrates her, especially since she said she's big on birthdays. She is so overwhelmed with joy because she's realizing how he's paying attention to her, and he's getting her gifts that she maybe mentioned or just showed interest in. And I think that's great and thoughtful. Now, Mecca is still saying how he doesn't necessarily feel love. He does have strong feelings, but it's not love. It ain't love. And I think he's saying this consistently to kind of let her know, okay, we good, but we ain't that good. Like, yeah, we talk and we have these good moments and kiki. Maybe we have sex every now and then, cool. But just let you know, bitch, it ain't love. It ain't. I feel like he tries to put her in her place, while obviously Belle is into him. And I feel sorry that she is into him, because I don't think he's deserving of her. To just be frank with you, I don't think he's deserving of her. Tori doesn't feel like Felipe could step up, and she doesn't trust him to be with her dog. Like, she doesn't feel like when she goes away for work or she's tied up in her meetings that Felipe would at the very least take care of her animal, which is pretty sad. We get to Nikki and Sean. They seem to be progressing. They're being more affectionate. They're being more physical. They may not have had sex all the way, but they've done other things, if you know what I mean. We're going to get into that into more detail in a moment. But Nikki and Sean, they're discussing their financial future. They're both talking finances, how it's going to be our finances, how we could invest, how we could have a vacation home, and how they want to build their portfolio. And it's just like nice, mature talk, right? No other couple here has had this level of detail or just intention in this topic for conversation. And I think that really shows their age, and I appreciate that. Courtney wants to just love Nick. She just wants to love him, and she feels like he's not being real. Courtney, you don't want to love anybody. Please. You do not want to love anybody. So we get to the group therapy moment, and I'm really loving this aspect of this show now. I really love how they integrated group therapy in Married at First Sight now, ever since they moved to Peacock. So kudos to them. I wrote down that Brunson dresses like a samurai. Yes, he does. Just look at his outfits, y'all. It feels like, are you about to fight somebody right after? So like I said, Courtney and Nick, they wrap up that episode with them finally saying, yeah, it's going to be a no for me, dog. They leave, and there's that. No more Courtney and Nick. We start off episode 14 confirming that Courtney and Nick are no longer staying married, and Nick cries outside as he's next to Courtney, and she's like, oh, this whole time when we were married, you couldn't cry in front of me? Like, bitch, if you don't walk out with the trash next to you, I'm so sick of her, but goodbye and good riddance. We get to Sean and Nikki. Nikki is not showing emotional availability, according to Sean, and he doesn't like the fact that she has not introduced him to her family. Nikki is showing hesitation about that because she wanted to kind of just stabilize their relationship first. She has told her mom about Sean and actually told her mom about their conflicts. So her mom is already under a negative impression about Nick or about Sean. So that's not a good way to introduce your new husband, but we'll see how that goes. Brunson says he feels like they have like a joint venture, and that's their love language, and that they need to get all the way in or get all the way out. Felipe and Tori, they talk about their indecisiveness, or Felipe's indecisiveness in particular, on whether he wants to be married. Tori is saying how she's not putting up with it and he needs to figure it out. That's for him to figure it out. And I love that she does not take any ownership over that. That's his problem and his monkey, his circus. Now, Brunson low-key's not even low-key. He straight up checks Felipe. Because Felipe says something like, well, that's not for me to prove to you. It's for me to prove to Tori. And Brunson says, "Look, you're trying to be disrespectful. You're going the wrong way. You're going the right." He's doing this whole samurai. You're going the. Sorry, he didn't do that part. But basically, he did let him know, I'm not the one or the two. We get to Mecca and Belle. Belle doesn't feel like she wants to initiate much because in previous relationships she has always been the initiator, and so she wants to do things different now. She and they actually talk about how having suppressed feelings leads to resentment, and I think that's pretty powerful. Mecca hesitantly chooses Belle because when he's asked, do you choose Belle, he's like, oh, yeah, I do. And he says it hesitantly, and it's like, okay, I'm not convinced. And we're going to talk about that. Adam and Marissa, they're on cruise control, but the cruise control has turned off, and they are having more serious talks. Marissa learns in that moment during this group therapy that she will actually meet Adam's sister, according to Adam, and that caught her off guard. Devin and Caitlin, they are talking about how Devin had to affirm her because Caitlin has opened up to him about her traumatic experiences from her ex-relationships. And it seems like they're in a better place. But Brunson, I think, or Dr. Paz, they asked him, like, can we talk about the hard stuff? Devin, do you feel like you're reducing who you are? Devin admits that initially that was the case, but he is learning to be himself more, and Caitlin is showing more appreciation. And it seems like they're on a better pace, but I don't know how honest or consistent it really is. Back home, we see Felipe. He's upset that he's being painted out to be as the way he is. He felt like he wasn't getting the support from Tori, and Tori's just, mind you, they're in this confessional outside together as he's saying this, and Tori's just looking at the camera like, yeah, nigga, I'm not supporting you because you're full of S. You're full of S. We see this cam of this like secret surveillance of Nikki and Sean. They're in their kitchen at the apartment kissing. And he's rubbing on her booty. She's letting him. He asks, or I think she asks, he asks, you want to drink some champagne? She says, yeah, if you want to. And then the next scene, we see them talking about scheduling for them to meet each other's moms. So I point this out to say, okay, we see Nikki is lowering her guard, and she is letting herself kiss and be rubbed on by him. Now, y'all, we see, I think that's in episode 15. Let me wait till we get there. Let me hold on. Cam feels like everything is a chore. I wrote down it's his depression because I really, he said it so clearly to me, like, this is depression. He battles with depression. He just said, he was having a sad day. It doesn't have to be something that necessarily is a big thing that takes place for him to feel depressed. It's just like him saying everything feels like a chore. Everything feels like a hassle. Everything feels hard to kind of get through. That's depression. I get exactly what that feels like. Feeling like you have to talk yourself up to do minuscule things that shouldn't even be a big deal, but you have to work yourself up to do it. Getting up out of the bed sometimes could feel like a lot. And so I hope he gets the proper like mental support that he needs for that, as far as medication, if he's comfortable with that, or just changing some lifestyle habits. But I really feel like that is depression. But Michelle was very supportive. She says to him, not every day is going to be a good day. And I'll sit with you in this sadness, or I'll help, pick you up from there and give you a new perspective. And it was a beautiful moment to see. Cam feels insecure about being a sad person. See, that's why I feel like it's depression, because he's naming that he's a sad person. And the sadness probably comes out every now and then. I don't think it's always sadness, or maybe it is, and he knows how to disguise it well enough. And there are some days when it's not as disguised. We get to the next episode, episode 15. It's titled The Tables Have Turned. Tables have turned, y'all. We start off with Nikki and Sean. They're kissing. He's teaching her how to cha-cha slide. Then we get to Devin and Caitlyn. Devin is FaceTiming his grandma, and Caitlyn is there with him. And Caitlyn is learning about how Devin was when he was a young boy. Michelle brings Cam to meet her aunt. Well, her aunt and her husband. And yeah, so that's that. Brunson meets with Tori and Felipe as a couple. And Brunson said how he would have removed Felipe from the whole experiment if Tori really believed that, or Tori does believe in that moment that he was emotionally manipulating her, but Felipe clarified and said that is not the case. I love that Brunson said it would have been done, period. We're not playing that. That's abuse. That's a form of abuse, and we're not at all playing that. And I think that shows a lot about where this show has come to, because y'all remember in previous seasons with Michaela, and I forget her husband, but you know, that black couple. Oh Lord, it was abusive. It was abusive, and I think it was abusive on both ends. I think he and she, they were just horrible to each other, and I think they should have got removed from the show, from that season. Anyway, so to see Brunson saying he doesn't play that, and y'all would have been removed, or Felipe would have removed, and ultimately Tori would have been removed too. I think that says a lot about where this show has improved. Tori is withdrawing. She's admitting that she has emotionally withdrawn from the relationship because of Felipe's instability. We get to Nikki and Sean, y'all, and as you can see, one of the photos in this slideshow that you're seeing in the background is of Sean walking out of the bedroom where he was just getting slobbed on by Nikki, which I think that was the case. This is my opinion. I'm not saying it's factual. All I'm saying is, if they're saying they haven't gone all the way, but they've done other things, what's the other thing? You subbed him off or not? Like, what's the other thing? Y'all so grown to talk about finances, to talk about mutual massive. I mean, he brought that up very, very matter of factly, but nonetheless, just say it. Just say it, dog. You sucked him off and he ate you out. That's it. That's it. That's all. So they did that. He walks out the room and he lets his robe hang. So it's not covered. His dick is out. And obviously, they just finished doing the do. Not full-on sex, but getting sucked off. Just oral sex, right? He also sings, "Oh, we became one," which I don't know where that's from. Is it a real song? Did he just make it up? I've never heard of a song that said those words. But I think he did this on purpose. I think he did this on purpose to say, got him. To say, got him. Wow, I got my dick sucked from this woman who said she was not sexually attracted to me. Oh, you not into me, bitch? Okay, just wait. I think this was all a play for him to look like the top dog. And I'm just shaking my head like, damn, Nikki. Now, initially, though, I'm like, oh, look at them progressing. But it's unfortunate because I feel like Sean, I think he's so childish in some ways because there's some insecurity there probably because of his height. Or maybe I'm putting that on him. But nonetheless, I feel like short guys, when they get what they want from a woman who actively said, I am not sexually attracted to you, there's some like, yeah, I did that shit. Like there's some pride elevated there. I really feel like it. Nikki in her confessional, she's talking about we had an advancement sexually. I'm not gonna get into details, but we had an advancement, and we are sexually compatible. We definitely are. And I'm like, what does that mean? So he knew what to do with it. Like, what you talking about? What you talking about? But okay, I mean, look, grown people do grown things, and I think it's initially I was like, I like that they are maturing in this area, and it seems that Nikki is letting herself feel more comfortable with him, just like he wanted, right? He said earlier how, like, stop talking about velocity. I don't know what the fuck that means, right? Because she was trying to be more calculated when it comes to exploring sexually. He's like, if you just feel it, just go with it. Just vibe out. And I feel like it's dope that they could vibe out. But my thing is, I feel like Sean's gonna kind of put it in her face, and that's what I don't like. You know, I don't know. I just think both of them, they have the right words, right? They say the right things. They're similar people, but it's not always a good thing, if that makes sense. Anyway, we can move on to Devin and Caitlyn. Devin and Caitlyn, they meet up with Caitlyn's dad. He's getting to know more about Devin, vice versa. He's asking Caitlyn's dad for tips with Caitlyn. They all get ready for the group dinner. This is the final dinner before decision day. Cam doesn't see it for a lot of these couples. And Cam is pretty, he's being a little aggressive, I feel like. He's like, I don't see but none of y'all. Not all of them, but he points out to Nikki and Sean, to Adam and Marissa. No, did he say Adam and Marissa? No, Nikki and Sean, Felipe and Tori, and Devin and Caitlyn. Now, granted, I don't see it for them either, but I feel like Cam, he's just kind of on his high. Like, I get it. You and Michelle are the perfect couple, but you don't have to be so judgy. Adam wants his wife to share his hobbies because his ex-girlfriend does. His ex-girlfriend always did the same thing he did. Then why don't you go be with her? Why don't you go be with her then? Huh? Why don't you go be with her? What happened to that relationship? I don't feel like he should measure Marissa to his ex-girlfriend. That's not fair. And it's unfortunate that Marissa has experienced this like pressure of being perfect, and she experienced anxiety, high level depression when she was younger, and to now be in this marriage with this man who wants her to do everything to the max, just like him, is really unfair to her, and it could set her back mentally. So I hope she just says no. I hope she says no on decision day. Sean asks Adam, do you always speak like this? Does your parents speak like this? Like, where did you learn this vernacular? Basically calling him out for always using immature language, him always saying that's vibey, you got the vibes, and the way that Adam talks, he talks like a surfer boy, but that's just who he is. Like, so what he does that. Sean, why did you need to ask that? And he accuses him of having low IQ or low emotional intelligence because of his vocabulary. And again, that just came off so cringe. Like, Sean, we get it. You're in academia. You speak like you are giving a TED talk. We get it. But not everyone communicates like that, and that doesn't make them less smart. Like, that was just so piss poor of Sean. And for him to be, I saw on TikTok that he's also a professor, because I know he's a college VP, but maybe he also teach a few courses every now and then at the very least. I think that's a poor impression I think that's very unbecoming of a professor, because you have students who communicate differently. And not every student is going to communicate in this professional TED Talk way. Now, granted, you have to follow a specific standard with your papers and all these things, but I don't know, just don't come off judgmental. That was just whack. Mecca said how he relates to Nikki because he wasn't physically attracted to Belle, just like Nikki wasn't physically attracted to Sean. And that threw Belle for a loop because, oh, wait, what? You're not into me like that? Or you wasn't physically attracted to me? We see them talking on the side at the table, and Mecca is explaining to himself like, oh, she's pretty, but is she pretty enough for me? Mecca, what? Mecca, what? Wow. And it was such a sudden shift because he outwardly would show to other people, to other couples, that, oh, this is my person, I'm so comfortable with her, I'm so soft with her, yada yada yada. And then for him to say, yeah, I wasn't attracted to her. It felt like he was putting her in her place yet again. Just like how he said before, how I don't love her. No, it's not love. It's not, like, he would immediately shoot that down and say, oh, yeah, I have strong feelings for her, but it's not love. It's not love. No, it's not love. And here you have this other example of him shooting her down by saying, yeah, I wasn't physically, Belle, I wasn't physically attracted to her. Like, as if she's a swamp monster. Come on. Belle is taken off guard. She's like, oh, you thought I wasn't pretty enough for you? Or he's like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't used to it. Like, is she pretty enough for me? I'm learning that Mecca dated white women before Belle. And I don't know if this is true, but I'm seeing an image on Reddit, because, you know, I'm a Redditor. Shout out to Reddit. In the Maps community, there's a screenshot of this white woman who, I think she was doing a story time about Mecca, because she allegedly may have been the woman Mecca was referring to as the one he was in love with, but she moved abroad for, I think, basketball. And she's like this very, very average looking white woman. So I'm bringing it up to say, you're calling out Belle for not being pretty enough for you, but you have this average white woman who you used to be with, allegedly. It's like, what is it? It's like, maybe his mindset is just white is right. So maybe he was low-key saying, is she pretty enough for me because she's a black girl? You know, I don't really fuck with blacks. Ciao. Anyway, we got to this moment at the table that was tense between Devin and Caitlyn, because Caitlyn didn't like what Devin said about sex in a marriage, and how if a marriage does not have, like, if they did not have sex before decision day, or if a marriage lacked any sexual intimacy, then it could be a point of contention in the marriage. And overall, when that happens, the man or whomever would seek that from outside of the marriage. Now, she was thrown off by that. She didn't like his answer. He apologizes and says, I'm not saying that I would do that. I'm just saying in general or overall, that is a natural step that people do. And it's like, what was the issue with what he said? Huh? Like, I just don't understand when people be like, yeah, we haven't had sex in months. We haven't had sex in years. And I'm so shocked that he would cheat on me. Why are you shocked that he would cheat? Huh? I don't get that. It's just like, girl, 1 + 1 = 2. Figure that shit out. Anyway, we wrap that up there, y'all. Let me know what you think about these episodes. Yeah, Belle, I need you to leave. I need you to say no and stand up and say no to him, because I feel like Mecca is going to say no to her, and she's going to be caught off guard despite these continuous signs of him shutting her down and putting her to her place. But let me know your thoughts down below, y'all. Subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to this channel and hype it up. I don't know how that works, but if you could see that on my channel, go ahead and hype this video up, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.